sitze hier neben Eric Johnson, dem Projektmanager von Dota 2, dem ich lieben gerne ein paar Fragen zu dem Spiel stellen werde. Hallo Eric, nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you, thank you.
Well, the most important question I got about Dota 2 is the question about your general design philosophy. Did you want to do a complete and a pure remake of the first Defense of the Ancients, of the real Defense of the Ancients, or are you also planning for some innovations, for some twists?
Well, I mean, we feel like there's a lot of what Dota 1 and what IceFrog's built that works really well. And we don't think it makes a lot of sense for us to go in and change a lot of those things. They've had years of iteration kind of out in the open with the fans, so we wanted to start on some of the other things in the game. First, you know, this is the first time that he's gotten to work with a full art staff. So we get to reimagine this game design from the ground up visually. And then also some of the features that allow people to get to play a game with their friends against kind of similarly skilled opponents. We think that that'll be really important for the Dota community, or so that they can have as fun a game as possible.
And what exactly is IceFrog's role in development? Is he like the lead game designer, and does he influence all the game design decisions, or are there also people from Valve involved in this?
I mean, the tricky thing about Valve is everybody does a lot of different things. When we like to think that everyone on the team is always thinking about game design or product design or the customer experience, and IceFrog definitely does that. He's also a programmer. You know, he's writing code on the game like a bunch of other people. So we're usually kind of hard to pin down on what's everyone's role. He has a huge amount of experience, and he's incredibly smart around the game of Dota, so that's incredibly useful for us.
And you got some very powerful rivals out there in the market, like League of Legends and Heroes of New Earth, which is just not that big, but also a very big game. Do you kind of fear that competition?
Well, I mean, we think they're both great games, and you know, we've had other games coming out like our games since Valve was around. The thing that we've learned is that it's not really a zero-sum game. If there are good games out there, gamers will buy as many good games as developers can put out. We don't think that gamers have some limit on the amount of really quality products that they want to play. And also, you know, it's kind of a distraction. You know, we want to focus on the Dota fans out there and building the right game for them. The other things, thinking about other things can kind of lead to bad decisions.
And of course, Dota 2 is using Steam as a multiplayer platform. In what ways will the game benefit from that?
Well, Steam has a number of features that are useful for Dota or for any game. Dota, when we ship it, is going to be continually worked on, just like Dota 1. So Steam is a great way for us to communicate with all of those fans, deliver updates to all those fans. The matchmaking backend is a Steam feature. A lot of the features actually that we're running for this tournament were kind of Steam features that we're trying out first in Dota 2. So Steam's a at this point, pretty integral part to any product we build at Valve.
Will there be any cloud features?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we're using them here at the tournament. So we have a problem with, we have to play so many games in this tournament live, and every different competitor has different keyboard configuration. So when they walk into the booth there and start to play, they log in, sets up and saves their key configuration so that there's not a bunch of setup. So
one thing that is very important for Defense of the Ancients is balance, of course. But there's never been any open beta of the game. Where did you test that? How did you do that?
Well, you know, we've actually been running a small beta with initially a lot of the original Dota 1 testers, and then more recently we've had all of these professional players in practicing to get ready for the international. After Gamescom, we're going to be expanding that beta quite a bit. And we want to do that both so that, you know, we can get a bunch of data on different types of hardware running the game, and also start to test some of the things that just require a huge scale of people for us to kind of be confident in them.
And can you already talk about your plans for the future? Because I assume that you will be adding new heroes, but do you also think there could be a chance for adding like 3v3 maps, or even more innovative maps with teleporting stuff on them, something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the approach that we take with Dota and that IceFrog has taken is to kind of iterate out in the open with your customers involved in the iterative process. So, we'll run experiments in that game just like he has with Dota 1 and we have with our own games to try to learn what works and what sucks, and kind of take it from there. We think that that Dota 2 should have a very long life, and hopefully that's filled with a lot of cool new stuff.
All right, and is there already a definite launch date for the game?
Not a definite launch date, but the game's in pretty good shape. So we think, probably early sometime next year, depending on how the beta goes, is when we'll be able to kind of get that out in front of everybody.
But there will still be a beta.
Yes.
Okay, I see. And how will players be able to apply for that beta?
So if you go to Dota2.com right now, you can get on a list. And as we start expanding the beta, we're going to be contacting people and kind of rolling them into it. So now's the time.
And are you also aiming that game on the more, I'd say on the more casual player? Or are you aiming for kind of a pro audience for the old Defense of the Ancients players who have played the game for years?
Well, I think there's room for everyone. The Dota audience is huge. It's tens of millions of people play this game. So, we want to make sure that those guys want to play our game. That said, there's people back at Valve on the team that had never played Dota before, and they're absolutely hooked on it. It is the only game at the company where people are working on it all day, going home, I guess if they have a wife and kids, saying hi to them quickly, and then playing more for fun at night. So somehow Dota's been able to gather all of these people into playing it, and a lot of that's just kind of how fun it is to play. So we'd like to attract a kind of broad set of people.
In the experience of many people, the Dota community and the community of some Dota clones is a very strict one and an unforgiving one, because you got many players who are really experienced in the game and who are not very kind to new players. Are you evaluating any way to solve that problem?
I think some of that problem is making sure that once you're in a game that you're playing with people that have pretty similar skill as you and have played the game for a similar amount of time, if you're a very new player. We think that can go a long way to solving it. We also are going to add in the ability because so many people come into Dota through a friend. Like, hey, I've been playing Dota, do you want to play with me? That's the most common way that somebody starts playing the game. We're going to add in a feature where somebody can coach a new player, so they'll see the game kind of through their eyes, be able to talk to them while they're playing, kind of teach them about some of the core mechanics of the game.
And maybe my last question is about matchmaking, because how will matchmaking work? Because you would have to monitor each player's performance with every single hero, which can be kind of painstaking. So is there any single element you can pin that on, like a skill level, a general skill level, a general statistic for matchmaking?
It's something that we're working on right now at Valve. So we don't know if we have the right formula at this point. It's something that the beta is going to be really useful in helping us determine. We have a pretty good idea of what the skill level of a bunch of people should be relative. It's kind of coming up with the formula that arrives at that. So we've run a bunch of experiments already in the beta, but I don't think that we have kind of found the exact solution yet, but I think we will.
And, no, actually, this is my last question. Do you think that Dota, like Defense of the Ancients, is kind of the future of real-time strategy? Because we see real-time strategy, the genre, declining, but we see Dota getting bigger and bigger. So is this the future?
Yeah, I don't know. StarCraft 2 was an awesome game. Awfully popular, so I think there's room for lots of different kinds of games, kind of from the real-time strategy perspective. Dota's what we're really focused on, but I think there's likely to be many more games that are more of a traditional RTS.
Okay, thank you very much.